I'm going up and not. That's why I already have them. Going the wrong direction.
So it's official. My wife is going the wrong direction.
People, did you go like?
Yeah.
Oh my
There's
god.
never a dull moment here at the Laddick household.
Nope. I've been swearing all day.
She's working on my taxes.
Uh-huh.
I may be smart at a lot of things, but business numbers not as much. But she is awesome at it.
Oh, thank you. I'm just saying you owe me.
And another unrelated, you don't care news. I got a new ring today. Isn't it pretty? It's like Larimar.
I got the cutest kitty necklace ever.
They had it at the store right next to our apartment building, Ludwig Jewelers. We were walking along and we saw these. I turned you off.
What?
Sorry.
You turned off the thing?
Here.
You're gesturing with your hands here, like you're look at my cute little
You can't
kitty.
see the.
You can sort of see it. There it is. Isn't it adorable? I'm so excited.
But anyway,
For sure, it was 3 times as expensive as it was, so it can help me.
great display in the window and everything. And of course, with us moving more into stones and jewelry and all of that with Magical Bear, we were much more familiar with the cost of things. And so we're walking by it. It's a beautiful display. And I'm like, look, there's Larimar, which is one of our favorites. Not that we didn't buy our weight in it at the show, but still, this was already finished in jewelry. And so we went to have breakfast at the local smoothie place. Yeah, smoothie bowls, yummy. And on the way back, the jewelry shop had opened, so we went in and asked to look at it. And we were surprised at the price. It was way low. We practically bought them out. I mean, it was like, should we stop or not?
That's pretty much it.
But Kristen got a couple necklaces, and I got this cool ring for guys, and it fit perfectly on my pinky finger, and I've been looking for one. Well, actually, I bought one last weekend, but it needs cleaned. But anyway, wonderful find. We were like, just to give you an idea of what we were thinking. So this is probably AA grade Larimar, not triple, but it's sterling. And for the ring, they had $100 on it. We were expecting 250 to 265, somewhere in around that range, based on what stuff costs. And so $100, we're like, how many more do you got? If they had more of these, I would have bought them all, and then doubled the price, of course. But anyway, we'll talk more about that as we go along. I probably should just teach a webinar that really dives deep. Maybe I'll just do a course on it. I don't know. Dives deep on how you guys need to price.
For real.
Val asks, how are you learning how to grade stones? Actually, Kristen just signed up for a gemology course.
Get my gemology certification.
She's going to be certified in how to grade and price rocks. We figured it'd be a good addition to what we're doing. All right, so I'm going to go full screen here and officially welcome y'all. So welcome to Expert Media Webinars. This is your host and teacher, Tony Laddick, of course. I don't know who else I would be. I've been in a rare mood the last couple of weeks.
Guys, this has been my life.
So tonight we're going to talk about how to leverage the power of characters. And part of the reason why I'm going to talk about this tonight is because, as some of you have seen and perhaps already invested in, going to be starting a new course next week called Public Domain Character Hacks. This was actually the top voted option earlier this year whenever I put out a list of things that you would most be interested in the Facebook group. And this was number one. And so I'm finally getting around to teaching it. It's going to be awesome. I'll tell you more about it at the end. But before that, I have some cool goodies to share with you, just to kind of demonstrate why this is going to be so important in what you're doing in your business, regardless of what that business is. So there's no escaping it. And that is the fact that we're all people. At least I'm pretty sure. If you are not a person and perhaps an alien, raise your hand.
Not a people.
Yeah. If you're an alien, raise your hand. We may need to chat later. I have some ideas. But you could call us characters, in a matter of speaking, because there are elements that are common and others that are distinct in all of us, right? So some of those lines are trying to get blurred in the day in which we live these days, but the reality is that there's some commonalities. And so, boys and girls today, for the most part, are like boys and girls 20,000 years ago. I see that hand, Lori. That's funny. And so, there's common elements. We typically have 2 eyes, a nose, a mouth, hair, all that kind of stuff, right? And then there are also elements of us, each of us, that are very distinct. Like I have very little hair. And so some of you may have awesome hair. And it's not like I'm the only balding man in the world. I'm sure there's tens of us. Or
Just 10.
or at least a couple million.
Just 10 balding guys.
But we could break down who we are as people based on those characteristics, right? And so each of the characteristics that make us unique also make us relatable. And that's a big deal, right? Because relatable is the operative word here. One of the reasons why utilizing characters in our businesses, product creation, all of that, which we're going to get into in more detail in a moment, is because we want to be able to relate to others. Our business needs to be able to relate to others. And so as a result, like my personal interests, which falls into that whole characteristic thing, is going to be different than yours, but some of you may have very similar interests, right? So you're all here tonight listening to my training and you enjoy my teaching apparently, and you like the courses that I teach that are related to business, but here's a side business that we're building, Magical Bear, that's more in the metaphysical space, and that may not resonate with all of you. And that's fine. It may resonate with people who couldn't care less about my business courses. That's fine too. But the object of our game here, whether we're writing books or making stickers or low content books or creating physical products or white labeling or whatever, we need to relate to our audience through those products, or else who's going to buy? Like, why would they buy? And so as a result, it's why we often connect to historical characters so well, because, at one time they were us, in a manner of speaking. I mean, I really kind of relate to several historical characters for a variety of different reasons, mostly because I was interested in what they're well known for. Like Tesla would be a good example, because he was just a genius in how he viewed energy and all of that kind of stuff. But, there's also some great artists that I really can relate to and connect with because I love their style. It speaks to me or whatever. Same with writers and so on and so forth. And if you think about it, there's literally millions of those types of historical characters that maybe we find fascinating or maybe we're connected to. But what about all of the other billions of people that are out there? They all still mattered. They were all still us in a manner of speaking, right? And so historical characters are incredibly powerful. Yeah, Thomas says it right. Their DNA is in us. Absolutely. Which may be awesome or scary, depending on who that person might be. But same is true with supernatural and spiritual beings. You know, regardless of how you were raised or what you believe or whatever, it's true. You know, you may be a Christian and follow the Bible and Jesus and all of that. There's nothing wrong with that. And so, but as that spiritual person, you may view other spiritual beliefs as less than, or that, you know, I don't want to say right versus wrong or anything like that. But chances are that if you're a Christian going to church, conservative or charismatic or whatever on Sunday, you may or may not also meditate in front of a Buddha, or, you know, have other spiritual beings at your beck and call. I could be wrong. But still, it's relatable. Everybody believes something. Even if they believe nothing, they believe something, right? So there is that still relatable connection with supernatural, with spiritual beings, you know, all of those things. Same holds true for natural beings. And by natural beings, of course, I mean bugs and animals and fish and birds, and perhaps even some things that we surmise may or may not exist. Some people are convinced they exist, and other people are not so convinced that exist, like aliens, like Bigfoot, like Loch Ness, you know, or whatever. And so we still connect to those, right, in some form or another. And so as a result, consider cats. You know, it's this relatability that we want to focus on. And, you know, this is Pusheen, one of Kristen's favorite manifestations of cats. Of course, we have real cats, but their subscription box we've gotten for a long time. And even though I'm not into Pusheen type stuff, I have to admit that a lot of their stuff is cute. I mean, they kind of nailed cute. But there's other brands that use cats, and they can. So can we if we want to, because all of these characters that we're talking about are in the public domain. And that's the beautiful thing about it, right? And so there's nothing stopping the company who makes Pusheen from having their way with cats. But
Having her way with cats. That sounds
let me
awful.
rephrase that.
Very questionable.
Here, kitty, kitty, dinner time.
You're so mean. No.
But you know, think about other famous cats or cat brands, right?
Garfield.
Garfield is exactly what I was going to say. Whenever I was a kid growing up, I loved Garfield, still do. I loved his attitude probably more than anything, but still super cool. Lots of other cats that are out there as well. And so you could start your own business, product line, brand, whatever, around cats. You just can't copy what Pusheen's doing from a visual perspective. Business model, that's another story, because ideas can't be copyrighted either, right? But you can't just use their designs. But there's literally tens of millions of people who own cats, and so you're going to connect with them. Yeah, Suzanne says Grumpy Cat, another great example. Love Grumpy Cat too. Don't care. Neither did he. Too bad that he crossed over. Yeah, actually was a she. Crossed over the Rainbow Bridge into the heavens, but you know, it happens. Consider pirates, right? So one of our favorite YouTuber star people is Peter McKinnon, and he's a great photographer, videographer. If you don't follow him or you never watch his videos on YouTube, you should. But he has a side brand that he's developing called Pete's Pirate Life. And so it's all around this whole pirate thing, and brilliant brilliant business model, brilliant products, really good case study. Just hint, hint. Um, but he has this logo design, you know, skull and crossbones, which is, you know, classic pirates, and just uses that as a brand on a lot of high end type of products, everything from challenge coins to wallets to knives. He's very heavy into EDC, which is everyday carry. And so a lot of his products that he releases revolve around that market. So in his case, he's got a couple things going for him in using this character, a pirate. One is his notoriety as a YouTuber, and he's very likable, very funny. But then there's also the whole thing of everyday carry, which, you know, a lot of guys and even some women are also very much all about. I have several of his products, and for me personally, and so that's going for him, and it's a hell of a brand. I mean, he just did a really good job of doing it right, and actually, we're kind of following some of his cues for what we're doing with Magical Bear, and I'll talk about that later. And then, of course, there's goddesses, right? There's lots of goddesses, depending on which people group you look at, and they're fair game, right? This is an illustration that I created a while back that I've been selling prints of, and it was it's a photocomp from using Photoshop, but the gal was originally generated using Artbreeder, and then a moon picture that I found and some symbolism and all of that kind of stuff that's related to the moon. But you know what? You could create a moon goddess yourself, or all of them if you wanted to, and put them on other types of products. And that's kind of the thing that's amazing about this. And that is that anyone can use the exact same characters, a cat, a pirate, a goddess, to create their own stylized products, branding, and so on. Now, you can't use these exact things because copyright, or in some cases trademark or whatever, but because characters are in the public domain now, not living people, okay, just clarify, not because of copyright but because of privacy rights more than anything. Alex, his name is Peter McKinnon. Peter McKinnon. He's awesome, great videographer. I like his very moody kind of style, and great photographer too. And so there's nothing stopping you or I, right? Because again, it's all in the public domain. And you know me, I'm all about public domain, have been since I first started my business. Which, little side note, this July will be the 14th anniversary of my first speaking from the stage, which is kind of cool, which really was the launch of my business. I had already been making products for a couple years, but that was my first time on stage. And so Dr. Joe Vitale was there, and Donna Fox, some of you probably know her, and Pat O'Brien, of course, it was his event. And so it was kind of cool just to kind of get that kickoff. So my first big ticket products, all of that at that event. So that's coming up. That's a fun anniversary of sorts. Yeah, so moving along. So I want to tell you a story about a bear, and most of you have heard this story, maybe not some of the details, but I wanted to talk about what we are doing with Magical Bear so that you could see how we are practicing what we preach, how we are applying what we're talking about here tonight, and what we'll be covering in much, much more detail in the public domain character hacks course. So in 1992, my family and I went through a Cherokee naming ceremony. Dr. Spider and Tekawitha Webb were the ones um, who met with us. Tekawitha is a clan mother, and she's the one who did the ceremony because names are given out through the clan mothers. And it's not just like they dole them out. Oh, you want a name? Okay, let me think of something. They actually have to come to them in a dream. And she actually approached us and said, so this happened, and um, we thought it might be cool to get together with you guys and do this. So we had this big ceremony. It was next to a stream in one of the parks that's close to where I travel every morning. And so we had some family and friends there, and they created a circle. They sprinkled some tobacco around the circle and smudged the circle and all of that. And it was oriented north, south, east, west. And then she stood in the middle. And then as we were called, we entered in to the circle. She whispered the name that she had received for us in our ear. And then if we accepted it, which we did, of course, we had to proclaim it to the 4 directions, and then our family and friends acknowledged it and all of that. It was kind of a cool thing. And the name that I was given was Bear Walks in the Light. So this is well before I was doing anything in business. I was still actually, you know what? I have that date wrong. It's not 1992. It was 2002. 2002. So I had actually just started my own design business then in 2000. I don't know why I put 1992, but it is 20 years ago. So 2002. And the name fit me perfectly. And it ultimately led me to a number of bear inspired designs and product ideas. I've always been drawn to bears. And as a matter of fact, a lot of the regalia that I had that we were using to dance at powwows and stuff already had bears all over it and stuff. But she hadn't seen that. She didn't know that. And so it was kind of cool how that all worked out. And so through all of this evolution of 20 years, Magical Bear as a brand grew out of that. And I kind of went through a whole series of processes and kind of getting to where we are today with Magical Bear. And it kind of started with some clip art that I found. I don't know where my mouse is. There it is. Some clip art that I found right here. And I just really liked it. And so I used it to design a logo. We had an antique booth called Bear Creek Mining Company. And it was basically rocks and minerals, surprise, surprise, and some other science-based items like that. And we actually did really well with that. And so then I started experimenting with this design a little bit more, flipped over, and came up with this idea. The background things are supposed to be like light rays. So in a sense, this is like a visual representation of my name, Bear Walks in the Light. And then I kind of evolved it from there and added in a mountain because figured, I like going to the mountains. And then decided this is somebody else's creation, so I need to come up with something that's a little bit different. And so it evolved into this. And then I changed it again because I wanted to simplify it. And I came up with this, and that's when Magical Bear as a name kind of started. But then I revisited again and got the bright idea that it would be cool to have like a pyramid kind of thing in it. And so it evolved into this. And most recently, we decided to evolve it into this, which is just basically a color change It's like a brushed copper, because as we've been discussing the brand, we realized that we really, really liked the contrast between black and copper. And so as a result, we just kind of shifted it a little bit, because with the trademarks that we have, they're not color dependent. They're design dependent, which means we can show it in whatever color we want, which is awesome. But it was a process, and it's important for you to kind of keep that in mind, whether you're developing a brand or a product or whatever. It's okay to experiment. You may not nail it the first time. You may see something that inspires you and then build upon that. But then, understand that you'll get to where you need to be. And that's one of the cool things about it. I mean, this whole black and copper thing, we literally changed within the last 30 days. So there's that. And it's not to say that it won't change again or that it won't show up in different forms. But I think it looks pretty cool. So with this simple character, a bear, it can lead to a product storm of sorts, where it just boom, explodes in a lot of different types of products, depending on what you want to create. Now, this is a bear for my case, but this actually will work for any character brand or product design or whatever that you want to focus on, right? So maybe for you, it's just published products. And that could be anything from written books, picture books, children's books, low content books, journals, on and on it goes, right? And then it could be handmade products, where you DIY, you make it yourself, whether you have like laser cutters or CNC machines or those kinds of things, leather goods, all of that kind of stuff applies. And by the way, handmade doesn't necessarily have to mean you hand making. One of the things that we are starting to do with, I don't know if I talk about this later or not, but one of the things that we're starting to do is partner with makers. And we're handing them what, basically our logos and what we want to create with them. And then they are the ones who are actually creating the goods. We're kind of busy building a business, but we can make everything too. It's a big mistake. And so we have somebody who is awesome at leather goods, and
We get tips.
who sells that? Oh,
It's for a website.
okay. She just distracted me with turquoise.
Sorry, it's gorgeous.
We've become obsessed with turquoise, and we probably have 10 grand in it now.
Oh, more than that.
But anyway, so we've connected with a leather worker who does amazing wallets and different things like that. We just ordered dies of our logo, the bear, that he's going to use as our official stamp for branding products that he makes for us. We're talking about like wallets and what's his bags?
Satchel bags, medicine bags.
Yeah, medicine bags, satchel bags, stuff like that. So it's going to be cool. And then we also have another leather artist that we may connect with. We have a wire wrap artist. We potentially have a silversmith. We're still kind of shopping for a silversmith person. But we're just kind of branching out, and we just connected with another gal that makes medicine bags out of faux leather, she calls it. It's not real leather, but it looks like it. But they're awesome. You'll see a picture of them here in a little bit. And so there's a lot of great options there from handmade. Then there's also raw materials products. So one of the things that we're doing with raw materials is we found a resource that sells a lot of different kinds of rocks and crystals in the shape of bears. And so we have an inventory of all of those. And, it's just one example. There's a lot of different ones. Print on demand products, of course, takes on a lot of different forms these days. There's like more and more options for print on demand all the time. And so, you can take your designs, your logo, whatever, based on the character or characters of your choice, and just plop them on thousands of products just through print on demand and not have to make any of it yourself. There's wholesale products. So when it comes to building a business around a brand or something like that, you don't have to make everything. That's probably one of the big points I want to get across here. You don't have to make it all. You can find other brands that are, or other companies that are creating products that fit well with what you want to do and sell theirs too. Buy it wholesale. It's cheaper. It means having a real business and getting a sales tax ID and all of that kind of stuff, but that's not hard. It's easy to do. So wholesale products are a big deal. We've been buying more and more stuff like that. And of course, if you're doing handmade or raw materials, you can get that stuff wholesale as well. White label products, another thing. Somebody else is making them. You're putting your branding on it. Simple. And we do a lot of that. I mean, we buy stuff off of Alibaba, AliExpress, company in India, different Turkey. Trying to think of where all we're buying stuff from that aren't here in the US. Probably that's it right now. But they'll put your designs and stuff on their products and boom. Branding can be very easy. You buy generic bracelets from somebody wholesale and then get like these little charm things that have your logo on it, and voila. It's instantly yours, so to speak, to sell as a product. And then there's also digital products that you can get into. Of course, I love digital products. And so just to give you one example is, so Magical Bear's in the metaphysical space, right? So it would be very, very easy for me to put together either a print version or digital version or both, series of downloadable PDFs that offer wholesale contact information for buying products in the metaphysical space. Wholesalers, they're honestly worth their weight. Finding some of these wholesalers takes a lot of research. I'm like a research ninja, and finding some of these wholesalers has really taken a lot of time and effort, and learning this business and the deals that are made out of the view of the public eye. But so I could very easily create that. I'm not saying that I'm going to, but I could, and that's worth its weight. There's a couple lists that I've actually purchased myself like that. Some were inexpensive, some were rather expensive. So it just really depends on the market that you're interested in. And then, of course, selling it under the Magical Bear brand, that's easy. So, something to keep in mind. So here's a couple examples of things we're doing. Some of you have seen some of these things if you pay much attention on Facebook at all. But here's a really good example. So this bracelet, this is Jaguar Jade with a leather handle. We bought these from a jade dealer. That's all that they do. That's all that they sell. We had these custom Matchbox boxes manufactured for us. It's like a black velvet with different kinds of slits for, they're multi-purpose. So you can use them for necklaces, for earrings, for bracelets, whatever you want, which is very cool. This is a horrible picture because I took it with my phone. This is actually like a rose gold, closer to copper, but they stamped the box. The box itself was manufactured in Denmark. And then you can see I added a little charm here that's also in the copper with black of our Magical Bear logo. That was manufactured in Turkey. and then the jade, of course, that we bought at the show we were at last week. And so, and the crazy part about the whole package is that the cost per unit is very low, which is awesome. So, but that's just an example of how you can pull things together from different, arenas to create a finished product. And those will be showing up on our website soon. Here's an example of one of the little bears, blue calcite. And, I think we have 15 different materials. These are the faux leather medicine bags that we're getting. You'll notice that they have little bears on them. And she's just like going to thrift shops and places like that and buying up old handbags and stuff like that, and then turning them into medicine bags with leather straps. And then adding in like the little bears and charms and those kinds of things. We have some other ones that have crystals on them and, all kinds of stuff. And you know what? We didn't have to do anything. We just handed her money and bought them wholesale. This is another little package that we're selling. We put together. The insert I designed, printed out on my laser color printer, but the selenite, tourmaline, the smudge bundle, the Palo Santo, we bought all of that stuff separate from a number of different companies. The little plastic things we purchased, like total cost on all of this together is like $3, if even that, and we're selling them for $20. Awesome margin. But you'll notice bear, right? And actually we're getting ready to completely redo this packaging. Now that we've found this company, their stuff is so high end looking. So we're just taking our whole business more high end, but keeping good margins. And then of course, most of you know that I'm working on the Oracle deck, Spirit Animal Oracle deck. This is the black bear from that. And I guess the last class for that is this Thursday. But there's obviously other animals, but I just thought it'd be cool to show the bear because I like how it turned out. Yeah, so couple things to keep in mind whenever you're building a brand-based say that fast 5 times, brand-based products. Some things to keep in mind, stuff that I've kind of come across and run into as we've been building this. And this really will apply to any kind of product or business that you're wanting to build based upon characters. Let me grab a drink quick. I have a merchandiser fridge right behind my desk. It actually was originally in our toy store. And then whenever we closed the store, we didn't need the refrigerator for Nerdvana. So I adopted it, and it's been in my office ever since. It's awesome. It's full of all kinds of goodies. All right. So the product types that you carry, regardless of where you're getting them from, and especially if you're getting them from a number of different sources like white label, wholesale, handmade, whatever, they need to make sense together. Like you can't do dog everything and then all of a sudden a random cat product thrown in. Like it just doesn't make sense. Yeah, bear, squirrel. Exactly. That's exactly it. I know why you were saying that, but it actually proves the point that I'm making here is that you want to make sure that it makes sense. And by making sense, I'm not just talking, oh, well, I have all of these bear products. Everything has to have a bear on it. That's not necessarily what I mean. I'm talking about like from a presentation perspective and all of that. All of it really has to play well together, including your color palettes. it's really important to pay attention to make, like, you don't want to have a like hot pink and fuchsia and then everything else is like earth tones, you know. I mean, it'll look like you were creating your products while you were high, you know, which is, I mean, maybe that's your thing. I don't know. That's not normally how I create products, but maybe I should try. Could be interesting. As fast as I talk now, I can't imagine how that would go. But color palettes are really important. We, for obvious reasons, are sticking with more earthy mineral kinds of colors. So like muted, softer tones like a sage green or whatever. So very natural. Copper, obviously. Black is just kind of the uniter of all things. But grays, and actually you'll see here in a minute because I'm going to show a screenshot of the website. So you kind of get an idea for our colors. You also want to mix up your products. You know, not everything has to be the same type, although you could. I mean, one of the things that I've found, especially with character-based branding and products, is that there's a lot you can do with those product types, you know, so don't be afraid to experiment. What you're going to find is that not everything is going to be a winner. And sometimes the things that you don't think will be a winner actually turns out to be. But it's really important to kind of play the what if game of sorts. Hey, what if this would work? Or what if we did that? We do that all the time. We're constantly discussing ideas. And we're like, yes, why didn't we think about this before? And 15 minutes later, we're throwing it out the window, you know? So that's just kind of how the process goes at times. But as I mentioned earlier, also consider working with makers. You know, if the first thing that pops into your mind is when I mention working with makers is, but that'll cost me money, then go get a 9-to-5. You're not cut out to have your own business. This isn't about poverty mindset. If I spend all of my money with makers, how am I going to make money? That is the absolute wrong way of thinking. Okay. How we think about working with makers is that not only are we getting great, amazing products for our own business and brand, we are supporting small artists as well. And in maybe some cases, bigger artists, you know, and so it's kind of like the concept of, you know, rising tides raise all ships. It's kind of like that. So if we can help support a small business, which it's kind of funny because like our wire wrap artist, she had literally just started, and Kristen met her in one of the rock groups that she's in on Facebook, and saw her initial work, like her first couple pieces ever, and recognized that this girl had raw talent, right? And so immediately Kristen started a conversation with her, and she bought a couple of her pieces, and we inspected them. We looked at them whenever they arrived, and they were just phenomenal. And it's like, yes, this is exactly what we're looking for. And then we sent her like 90 cabs to wire wrap for us. We basically said, okay, we are giving you a full-time job, essentially. And she currently has a full-time job. And so she's just been doing this on the weekends. But we knew that we found the right person when she started talking about how she wrapped these stones, how she sets with them and lets them talk to her and guide her so that it's not cookie cutter looking. Every wrap is completely different based on the stone, right? And some of the stones are even singing her songs, which she is writing down. I mean, it's just amazing. Like, yeah, she's kooky. She fits perfect. So now she's looking at cutting her own cabs, which is awesome because that will save us money. You figure if you buy cabs from somebody, it's cabochon, it's cabs. You buy cabs from somebody, they got the raw material from somewhere, and then they maybe cut the cabs themselves or hired somebody else to do it, and then they sell them to you. So the costs keep going up and up and up and up. But if you can buy raw material from mines and then hire somebody to cab them for you or do it yourself, all of a sudden you just increased your margins exponentially. And by the way, that little trick doesn't work just with stones. It works in a lot of different types of products that you could create, physical products, that is. And so, keep those kinds of strategies in mind. But a lot of that comes from working with makers because maybe they have connections or insights that you were looking for or that you're unaware of. And all of a sudden they're like, well, yeah, I have a friend of mine who does XYZ. And you're like, really? We've been looking for somebody who can do that. And off you go to the races. And it's an amazing way of building a business. I love it. And then, of course, tell stories with your products. Like the end game, yes, is to have a successful business. Obviously, why would you have an unsuccessful one? It's like, I'm going to spend 5 figures to crash and burn. Yes. What a great tax write-off. Yeah. I mean, if you want to piss money away, 947 Wayne Avenue. You can just send it our way. We'll spend it the right way. Guaranteed. But no, your products should tell stories. And I don't mean like talking and silly kinds of things. I mean that there should be a cohesive something about it. The why of it all. Like, why a bear? Why a magical bear? Right? There should be, like for us, our tagline, which we had to change. I'll talk more about that in a little bit. But our tagline now is Light Your Path. And that actually came out of one of the downloads that I had and all of that, which ultimately doesn't matter. But what I realized was through the different insights that I gain and all that kind of stuff regarding Magical Bear is that Magical Bear's purpose is to help light the path for people's journeys, whatever that looks like. So I don't mean like we're selling flashlights now, although I may not roll that out at some point. But what it means is inspirational products, right? Things that shed light, illumination in where people are going. Maybe people are hurting and, they can relate well, or maybe they're stressed out and they need some way to calm down. Well, there's a number of different types of products that we're creating or in the process of creating that we are creating specifically for people in a variety of different situations, emotional healing, physical healing, all of that. So there's those connections there. And there's stories behind those that our products can tell. So another one is to think about product association. So what I mean by that is kind of what I was referring to earlier, where yes, we have a lot of branded products. They have bears on them and all that kind of stuff. But some people could care less about bears. So an associative product could be bringing in other animals like eagles or wolves, which I would love to do. It could be different earthy based styles. So we're creating our own product lines and everything. But you know what? We have, and I'm creating my own Oracle deck, but there will be multiples. But we also have wholesale accounts with Llewellyn and Hay House and a couple others who just, I don't know, happen to distribute most of the tarot and Oracle decks that are out there. So I don't even need to create those. So through a wholesale relationship, I can create products that are well associated with the things that we're trying to do. Like, for instance, I have a number of Oracle and Tarot decks that are behind me that are strictly focused on animals and being in the forest and all of that kind of stuff. So it just really makes a lot of sense, you know. Thomas says Charmin Bears is a brand. Yeah, see, that's a different way of using the same animal in a completely different way. Toilet paper. Go figure. Yes, we don't currently have candles, Val, but we will be for sure. Ellen's super not just nature either. I hear things all the time from manufactured items. Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity. Luxury card store. I'm not sure who you are, based on your name, but so if I understand, to start, go wide, not deep. It depends, honestly. In some cases, it makes sense to go deep first and wide later. It really depends on the kind of business that you're building and what the branding is and the characters that you're around. I mean, think about this. I don't really have it in my slides, but you know, you have this pantheon of gods, and there's this one that one or two of you might have heard of called Thor, right? Here's this dude minding his own business, raining lightning down on, you know, us peasants here on the planet. And all of a sudden, Marvel picks him up, and then Disney buys Marvel, and now Thor's everywhere, you know, just long blonde hair, blah, 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 whatever. Right?
A little handsome.
Same difference, same thing. It's a character that they've turned into the character. Now, does that mean that Disney and Marvel have an exclusive on Thor? Hell no. You know, any of us could do our own Thor-based things, and that would be fun. You know, the whole lightning bolt jewelry kind of stuff, which of course has probably been done, but there's a lot of different ways that you can spin it, and that's kind of the beauty of all of us as creators, is that there's no other you. There's no need to copy what other people are doing because there's no other you. That means that you have a unique perspective that no one else is going to have. I mean, yeah, you can look at what other people are doing, and I am 100% in favor of studying what other brands are doing, studying what other businesses are creating, and so on. Absolutely have to do it. I mean, otherwise you're like reinventing the wheel, and that's just stupid. But that doesn't mean we need to copy, right? We can do our own thing because we are unique. So another thing, and this is probably one of the biggest points that I want to make on this slide, is strive for consistency and why can't I say that? Excellence. Strive for consistency and excellence. And really what I mean by that is that you want all your products to match. You want to make sure that when somebody sees your product line, that it's very cohesive, that they can point out and say, oh yeah, that's definitely a Magical Bear product. And not just because of the branding, right? And so you want that consistency, but also excellence. A lot of people have flawed thinking in that if I make it cheap enough, I will sell more. No, if you make it cheap enough, you're going to attract cheap ass people. You do not want that. You know, we are not Walmart here or Dollar General. You know, you want to create a higher brand. And it's not so that you can just make more money. I'll let you in on a big secret about business. The secret to success in business is not focusing on the money. It's not about the money. You think it is, and obviously you want your business to make money, but if your focus is on the money, you're going to struggle. Yeah, Thomas says it perfect. If you play for nickels, you will win nickels. That's exactly it. You know, if you sell your goods or services at reduced rates, you know, because you haven't really made any sales and you're afraid that you're not going to make your money back, you're priced too cheap. If you're selling so many products that you can't keep up, you're priced too cheap. You know, so aim for excellence. Yes, it costs more. You know, spoiler alert. What are we paying for our boxes?
Which boxes?
The bear boxes.
Like $2 a piece.
Yeah. So our product boxes for our jewelry line are $2 a piece. Okay. Which seems like a lot for boxes because hell, we could go to Uline or someplace like that and buy boxes
We
for
bought
50 cents.
450 of them to get it down.
Yeah. And we had to buy quantity just to get that price. But the difference is in presentation. You're talking about, you know, a very nice fabric type texture with foil stamping on it and a slide out with the black velvet versus some generic box or bag or whatever. It communicates something different. And that's what you want to aim for with excellence. You want to communicate, we know what we're doing. You definitely want to spend the money, you know, or whatever the case may be. You're justifying that purchase. Here's the thing. I could take a necklace, and I have several of them right here on my desk. They're kind of cool looking. Actually, let's play show and tell. These are more in the Viking niche, which I kind of like that niche, but we're not in it right now. So, where are we? So you have like this tree of life kind of thing happening, very Viking-like. Or you could also look at it as, you know, as above, so below, right? You've got this design right here. Kind of a very cool design. You got Thor's hammer, right? So you have jewelry like that. And it literally comes in the plastic bags that I showed them to you. And we bought them off of AliExpress. They were, I don't know, $1 or $2 a piece or something like that. And so let's say, just for the sake of discussion, that they were $2. So our cost of goods, $2. And then we sell them on Amazon for $5. And I mean, hey, we're more than doubling our money. So that's awesome. Right. And we just ship them out in the baggie, done and done, you know, simple shipping, customer pays shipping anyway. We just put it in there. It's nice and protected, so on and so forth. And you're happy with your $2.50 profit or whatever. Right. Or maybe you even upgrade and put them in an actual container that you bought somewhere like Uline or whatever, and it costs you 50 cents. So you're in for $2.50 and you sell it for $10. And so you 4x your money, which is awesome. If I take this and put it in one of our packages, I could sell it for $30 and people be happy to spend it.
Perceived value.
It's all about perceived value. So 4x is great, right? 15x is better. And so, you know, it's something to think about. Presentation is an awesome
And
thing.
good photography.
Yeah, and good photography.
We have Curiosity Stream.
We do.
When did you get that? In December, obviously.
That
or no,
month?
April.
I don't know.
That's not fair. I should have known.
It's good.
I know.
Curiosity Stream, good investment. All right. So this is our current website. I screenshotted it today. This is like iteration, what, like 4 or 5?
10.
10.
It actually has some errors. I'm on. Yeah. I have a call with the programmer coming up.
Yeah, we're still working on some things because we're using a customized theme. And but you can see the bear logo is changed here. Kristen completely redid these icons here, changed out the color schemes, but you can see consistent colors, very earthy. And then right now we only have 3 categories on here, and there's virtually 0 products on here right now because we want to make sure that the website is fully functioning in every way, including mobile, before we really start hitting it hard, which hopefully in the next month or so, we'll be able to start promoting hard and heavy. But we also have a lot of new products that need to be photographed, some that are still being made and so on, also known as Tony needs to photograph. And so it's a work in progress still. And we're,
Kristen needs to design a lot of them.
yeah, and we are 15 months in, probably, for Magical Bear. I think we started it March of last year.
Officially. Well,
Some,
it was September when we were sick that I launched the website.
well,
The
I was
first
thinking
design.
about when we started behind the scenes, BTS.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
it was March.
Yeah, it was like March.
Yeah. And so we're not rushing it. We're doing it right. It is on Shopify, Val. Yes. We're using BGS theme, which is rather expensive, but
It's not just the
it's not just the
theme. I got
theme.
the programmer in my pocket.
It's the support. The developer of the theme does weekly live sessions where you can submit requests and errors and problems that you're running into, and he fixes it for you and does custom programming and all that kind of stuff. So it's really awesome. There will be a big launch, Debbie, yes, but we're just not sure yet.
Oh, there will.
Huh?
There will.
Yes, we are going to make a big to-do.
Okay.
I mean, hey, we just finally got around to our first Instagram post the other day.
True. Sabrina's like, look at you guys, you're official.
We had people starting to follow us, and there's literally no
No
posts.
posts at all.
So I guess we've got to put something up there. All right. So one thing I wanted to mention, just because this happened literally today, if you're planning to build a brand based on a character or characters, you may want to consider trademarking your design elements. This is the printed version of Magical Bear. You can see that it was actually, this is just part of it. We have 3 trademarks filed. So we have this trademark, which is on the design itself. It was actually registered back in April of this year. It was submitted in March of last year. March of last year is when we actually submitted it. We also have a formal registered trademark for the name Magical Bear, and the initial tagline we want to use. We bumped into a problem with that. And so that didn't work out because there's another company who's using something almost identical, and they are in the jewelry niche. And so we would have had an issue. So we had to abandon that one and submit a new one. And so the one that we just submitted for our tagline was Light Your Path,
Which is what's on the website now.
which is what is on the website now.
So it has to be.
Yes. And so there are a number of options that are available for you. Here's your answer, Thomas. You can expect to pay around $1,200 or more. The early trademarks that we got, not for Magical Bear, but for other projects, we paid what, $3,000, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
about $3,000.
Initially, $3,000 per mark. But then we found this gal that we're working with now, an attorney, and she's about $1,000 to $1,200 per mark. So we're in that. So we were in for about $3,500 for our trademarks. Debbie says, ouch, not in my budget. Well, here's the thing. Nobody can use it.
they try, we shut them down.
Yeah. We are protected, and not just by copyright. So from a legal position, it makes a big deal. I did use Illustrator for the bear, yes. And Debbie asks, what do you use for YouTube streaming? I am using StreamYard. Yep. So I mentioned that. Yeah, the logo, the name, and the tagline, Light Your Path. Thomas asks, are they forever? No, they are not forever.
3 years, I think.
You have to file, do they call it a renewal fee or what
It's
is
a renewal.
Yeah, it's like a renewal fee, like every 2 or 3 years, maybe
3 years.
something like that, to keep them alive. Otherwise they die. And I don't know what that fee is. Do you know what that fee is?
Nope. I don't
It's
remember.
not, it's like $100 or $125 or something
It's-
like that.
Well, that fee,
I
but
think.
to have the attorney do it, it's more.
Yeah. I mean, you can actually file trademarks for yourself, but there's a lot that you want to know and understand. Yeah, you're right, Debbie. The renewals are not anywhere near as expensive. I mean, if you use an attorney to do it, which we will, there'll be a little bit more because you have their time involved as well. But you know, I mean, the reason why they do that is for the same reason as why copyright exists. If a company trademarks their branding and all that kind of stuff, and then they go belly up in a couple of years, why lock up that design forever? Thomas says, then there must be some trademarks in the public domain. I have one in mind. Very possibly. Yeah, there's a spin I haven't taught on yet. Mining trademarks.
Really? Surprisingly.
Yeah, well, I'm trying really hard. The current Hacks course is number 23 in the Hacks series. Oh, okay. Debbie says from LegalZoom section 9 renewals have a per class fee of $300.
That's just like a new one. Just same fee for.
Is it the same?
Mhm.
300 per class?
Yeah. Yeah, when you do it brand new, it's the attorney part of that was like 700 or 800.
Oh, okay.
The government fee is the 300 something.
Debbie says, fun fact, I interviewed for a position at the USPTO about 10 years ago.
Huh.
That's cool. I did not know that. And several of you commented about liking the tagline. Yeah, we like it too. It's very simple. The original one that we had was Ancient Wisdom for Modern Paths. And I really like that one. But Light Your Path is much more simple. And so hopefully it goes through. The initial research showed that we shouldn't have any problems. So fingers crossed. You know, whenever we get our paperwork from the Light Your Path filing out in 2024, I'll let you
Right.
know. It's crazy how long it takes. It actually showed up on the website months and months ago, but
Yeah, but it shows up as pending.
yeah. Does anybody have any other comments or questions? Yes. No. While you're thinking about it, I want to remind you we have a new course starting next week called Public Domain Character Hacks. And in Public Domain Character Hacks, we are going to focus on 3 different modules. One is going to be on historical characters. One is going to be on supernatural characters. and one is going to be on natural characters. And we're going to get into a lot of different kinds of case studies and research and lists and all kinds of fun things to really help us see how we can fit characters into our products, into our branding, those kinds of things. It honestly, I mean, there's literally billions that we can pick from, so it's not like we're going to exhaust it at all. But a lot of people probably don't like, we use it all the time and don't even think about it. You know, like Debbie's talking about Yogi Bear, which, you know, I grew up with Yogi Bear. I always thought they were great. But, you know, Smokey the Bear, only you can prevent forest fires. And so we're just going to really dive deep into each of these. So even though we're going to talk specifically about the different types of characters in each of those 3 modules and categories, it's probably going to be more focused on business strategy. And that's my goal. So I decided to keep the price low, $47, just to make it, you know, an easy yes. But I'm going to grab the URL here and post it in the comments area. And so while you're clicking on that URL, before you do, don't forget to like this video. Click on notify so that you get all the announcements for upcoming videos. And if you're not a subscriber yet,
Shame on you.
why? What's going on here? I mean, you've been a subscriber of mine for years, so why not just jump on and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well? Mark says, like, how to use the characters in a manner of speaking. Yeah, we're going to talk about some design aspects and all of that, obviously. But yeah, it's going to be a good time. And let's see. Let me do this and put this up here. Yeah, so module 1, we're going to focus on spiritual characters, animals, and gods, and that's spiritual animals. And then nature-based characters, and then round things off with historical characters. There is a bonus video training in PDF that's up there as well already. And so we'll be on Thursdays, June 2nd, 9th, and 16th. And that'll be a lot of fun. Any other comments or questions before we wrap things up? And hey, Mark, since you're here.
Is that the Mark?
The Mark.
Hi, Mark.
The man, the legend, the myth.
He's not a myth.
It's a real myth. Are you going to be around tomorrow? If so, I will probably be reaching out to you a couple questions.
They're very important questions.
Yeah, they're VIP questions. So you can let me know about that. I know you've been busy. Thomas asks, if you had an expired trademark from a now non-existent company, the nostalgia benefit might be worth $1 or $2. In some cases, maybe. I mean, it definitely would take some digging, and that's something that I haven't really done. But it could be worthwhile for sure. And Vicky says, thanks. I learned more stuff. Well, that's my goal, is to help everyone learn more stuff. Pigeons. Yeah, really. We've got plenty, Val. We should turn them into characters.
We could write books about them.
Yeah, I can't call tonight, Mark. We have some stuff that we're wrapping up. afterwards, but
You can't?
definitely tomorrow
Why can't you call him tonight?
because I have stuff to wrap up.
Oh.
Stuff
So there is no Curse of Oak Island tonight. So what do you
to
do?
wrap up. Actually, my throat is very sore. Maybe I'll call tonight. We'll see. Ganti, this Thursday is the final module for the inspirational card deck course. So we'll be wrapping that up tonight, module 4. So that's
Thursday night, not
the
tonight.
Thursday. Yeah, this
So
Thursday.
we'll be wrapping that up tonight.
Oh, yeah, we'll be wrapping it up Thursday. Sorry. And then next Thursday is when the new course starts. You're going to have to put up with me on Thursday for a really long time, and Tuesdays too, unless we're traveling. Yeah, and as Debbie said, smash that like button on your way out. It's easy. Click of a button, like literally just turn your mouse over there and click. Yeah, so thank you all for joining me here tonight. I hope you got some value out of this. Next week, I don't know what we'll talk about, whatever I make up. And until then, if I'm going to see you Thursday for the wrap up of the inspirational card deck course, I'll see you then. Otherwise, I'll see you next Tuesday. Keep your eye open for emails regarding character hacks. It's going to be a really fun course. So good night, everybody.